Hello, again me. So, opening panel, let's set the stage for the rest of the today's conversation. So, who we have? We have some brilliant speakers, obviously, because we speak about the opening. So, let's do a short round of introductions. Briefly, ladies still first, right? So, Claudia.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Claudia. I'm heading up global commercial at Merz Therapeutics, which is a specialty pharma company with a strong neurology focus. My team is also home to the leaders of all cross-functional product teams, and we'll talk about cross-functional collaboration later, that's why I'm mentioning it, and also digital transformation. And pleased to be here.
Thank you, Claudia. Uday?
Thank you so much. So, Uday Bose, I'm Head of Global Customer Experience Excellence at Boehringer Ingelheim. That was close, by the way. That was very good. I'm still learning. I'm 11 years. Prior to that, I was Managing Director for the UK and Ireland affiliate and was Head of Global Marketing for Oncology as well. So the role, of course, relevance for this meeting in terms of customer experience. And as I said, it's a global scope. And I'm delighted to be here. Thank you so much.
And Sam.
That is me. I'm Sam Rolfe, Sales Director for Europe, Middle East, Africa at Exeevo. On the technology side, a commercial technologist. Really strong interest in AI and how that's going to move the industry forward, and delighted to be on the panel today.
Thank you so much. So, long title, Captain or Passenger, I will shorten it. And let's make it interactive. So I would like to ask to publish our Slido question. So it's a word cloud, which describes Pharma's biggest challenge, which prevents us from delivering proper customer experience to HCPs. Very curious to see what will be the answer. You can also vote if you would like. So let's see the word cloud. Still no words are coming in. Oh, they are actually. Let's see. Will be quite interesting to see.
Yes.
What do you expect? What would be your word cloud?
Customer knowledge, using the data that we have. Just writing on to Uday, what do you think?
Internal, habitual practices, complacency.
Sam?
Insights from data.
Okay, let's see, data foundations. That's the biggest one so far. Actually, 2 words, right? Okay, in meantime, we can still keep the slide here, so let's start with the first question, which is every company talks about transformation, right? And we see, massive transformation process currently, which are running at so many companies, but few change how decisions are made, right? Which comes from obviously top to the bottom. So what's the structural barrier that keeps cross-functional teams from moving us as one? Who would like to go first?
I can start. So for me, this is mindset and organizational setup. So pharma and biotech are designed around functional expertise. We usually hire the greatest experts in marketing, in medical, and R&D. And then when they are part of our organization, we promote them up the hierarchy. All of which is fine as long as we overlay it with a horizontal governance that enables shared ownership and joint decision making.
Thank you, Claudia. Uday?
Yeah, this is, and I've been fortunate, I've worked in many different organizations, and it's the same thing. We have a very strong focus on our internal silos, our internal pillars of excellence, whether it be medicine, commercial. But if any of you, you know as patients that when you need a solution, you don't really think about the function in the organization. That's meaningless. Customers are looking for solutions, and they don't really care who in the organization offers that. And it's interesting, they repeat people's names, they don't repeat people's functions. And we still as an organization, and generally most of us still work in our silos, and I think that's the biggest challenge. I think increasingly data is available to show us how agnostic the customer really is, and then it's incumbent on us to find solutions that take away those silos and deliver for them.
I think as a vendor we hear from many different biopharma companies, and what's clear is that there's a complete range of approaches being taken, particularly around AI, to optimize CX, from full all-in AI programs mandated across the organization to a full block on AI. So I think the reality is people are using it in their day-to-day life, so there is at times a bit of a structural disconnect between the field, the office, and strategic leadership.
Thank you.
So just speaking to what you said earlier, Dario, it's not the tech per se. I think this is a problem we can solve. I think it's more what you said, Uday. It's the silos that we still allow to exist and that we should really overcome. And for me, one key element here is to jointly hold the teams responsible for a shared outcome.
So accountability, that's the keyword.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So at Merz Therapeutics, we have introduced, as I said, those global product teams, and they are more than a cross-functional working group for one product. They are the leadership team. So every decision, every discussion needs to happen in this team first, and they need to come up with an answer, and only if they can come up, then they are allowed to go to the executive team to ask for guidance.
It's an interesting, I mean, and I said my title at the beginning is Head of CX, so I'm kind of, reinforcing that mentality that therefore my function must be focused on CX and nobody else. But we had to do that. We had to rename the function because the focus on the customer was completely lost. So the way we're organized, the way we're embedded in the different teams in the organization is to be that connection to, so what would the customer's perspective be on this? And we work hard to make sure we're clearly agnostic of the function. So we span across all the way from early clinical research through to LOE of our assets. But it's indicative, right? So we have to have a department called CX because not everybody in the organization sees their role as delivering great customer experiences. So it has to start somewhere, I guess.
Thank you.
I think putting ourselves in the HCP shoes is really important. Does the HCP know or care what omnichannel, opti-channel is?
Exactly.
No.
Do they care about their experience? Yeah. And I think, like you say, having cross-functional teams overseeing what that customer experience becomes is vitally important.
Customer experience starts with asking the customer first, right?
Precisely, and we're in a changing demographic right now.
Absolutely. Let's see what we have on our Slido. So the buzzwords and keywords which we have is lack of customer insights. That's interesting. I mean, we never had more data. Mindset and silos. How would you comment on that?
Is it not the same things we've been talking about for,
Exactly.
for years and years and years?
I hear this for the first time, actually.
Your first next day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's really painful to see lack of customer insights. And I believe that, when we do our research, I constantly keep asking myself, are we still asking the wrong questions? So who of you knows Rob Fitzpatrick, the mom test? Oh, okay. It's, some people in the back. It's an absolutely must read from my perspective for anyone who deals with customers, because it tells you that some questions don't really give you what the customer wants. So don't ask your customer what he wants, because he doesn't even know the answer, right? If you've asked people, Henry Ford, what do you want? Faster horses. It's exactly this. So we'd rather should ask the question to our physicians, what is painful for you? What makes your day-to-day job difficult? And what would you pay if that pain would be taken away? And then it needs the creativity of our teams and the daring innovation to find a solution here.
That's an interesting standpoint, and it's not only Henry Ford, actually. Even Steve Jobs also had this mantra, right? Yeah. Like, don't ask your customer. I mean, sometimes they even don't know what they want, right? Yeah. But which is the opposite what we are talking right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I do think it's changed, though, because I think historically the Henry Ford example has been used a lot. Yeah. But I think increasingly our access to customer insights is unprecedented.
Exactly.
And most recent one, I think with Apple as an example, I'm sure most of you saw the Apple sock. Yeah. Just as a show of hands, how many have an Apple iPhone or an iPad, right? Now, keep your hand up if you bought the sock. So there you go.
Don't be ashamed.
So or you use your own sock. But I think it's an example, because I tested myself, because I'm quite loyal to the brand. And I think I read an article somewhere where they said this was almost a test. Is it the case that you put an Apple logo on anything and a consumer will buy it? And I think this straw poll just proved, well, hopefully you stay loyal and don't buy the sock. You don't go out and buy one in Vienna now. But I think customers are a lot more astute now. They're a lot more informed. They can judge things better than they did. And I think, because I've come across many leaders who have a similar proposition when we talk about medicine, an insight on a medicine. And if the customer doesn't see the value in it, they don't see the value in it. We can't force that on them. We have to think of creative ways of influencing them.
Thank you. We saw actually the MIT report, which was published in August, where 95% of Gen AI pilots show no use case, right? Which leads me to the next question, which is between AI disruption, new commercial models, go-to-market strategies, and raising HCP expectations, because like you said, HCPs are also customers in some other industries, and they're used to a good service, right? Do pharma leaders still have control over the wheel, or are we reacting to a storm we didn't prepare for, especially AI, right?
Yeah, that's a great question. I believe we are still in control, but for sure things are changing very rapidly. And it's so easy to fall prey to the temptation of the new and shiny, or to feel pressed because you think your competition is outperforming you, or there is these new tech players entering our space. And that's where I believe we as leaders, we have to make smart decisions for our organizations. So where are the areas where we need to be bold in innovation, and where can we afford to be a bit more responsive?
Sam?
Yeah, I think pharma leaders are still in control of strategy at a high level, but AI wasn't really a storm that anyone was prepared for on a personal, professional, or organizational level. It's a wave that we're all riding. I think it's really interesting that we use leadership, control, and HCP experience in the same sentence. Are we in control of the HCP experience, or is the HCP? And if we're changing the question that we're asking, surely we're changing the way that we engage, and we're also changing the way that we measure success away from the traditional KPIs, as you referred to earlier, into channel KPIs, into is the HCP engaging with us rather than the other way around?
Yeah, I'd agree with Sam. I don't think we were ever in control. I think we've been quite reactive, especially to the market. I think in terms of innovation, R&D, that kind of innovation, I think our industry has been definitely leading. But when it comes to innovation in terms of customer experience, I don't think we've been in control. I think we've followed trends. I think AI is an incredible opportunity for us. And I see some glimpses where actually pharma is being quite brave. If you think of how we used to approach things and what we're doing now, especially with customer insight data, I see a lot more freedom, a lot more pragmatism about what we're trying to do. But I think, yeah, I would agree with Sam. I think the idea that we control it in some way is a myth. Yeah.
Are we even prepared for that storm? I mean, AI is, I would say that many leaders even don't understand how AI functions.
I've said this in my organization. I'm anxious about it, if I'm honest, because I think we're one GDPR breach, one complaint away from everybody just stepping back from this and say, okay, shut everything down, stop this, because it's the nature of our industry. You have an audit, you have an investigation. So we have to proceed very, very carefully through each step. And we have to have a leadership organization that their expectations are managed, that this can happen. We're dealing with levels of data and insights that we haven't before. We really need to demonstrate integrity in what we're doing. The informed consent is incredibly important. And then what we find in our organization, working closely with regulatory and compliance at the beginning of the process rather than towards the end when it's the final decision, has helped us. But I proactively tell our leadership, it may happen. We're obviously not planning it, but it may happen. And how we react on that first major data breach is going to be, a bellwether for us in terms of an industry, because I think that we're not typically good at taking those sorts of criticisms and breaches. Yeah.
Definitely. Speaking about data, we all know data is everywhere, so we never had so many data like nowadays. Yet insights and impact often lacks, right? So is pharma's biggest challenge a technology gap or a leadership and culture gap, or everything?
I'd probably say it's a mix of all, and may actually depend on the specific organization, which one is the most prominent. Overall, I believe that the technology piece is maybe the most easiest to be healed, because the technology is out there, and even if it's not perfect, it may be in 6 months from now. I really see the leadership challenge, and this is about providing clarity from this vast ocean of opportunities, which one is helping us to pursue our purpose. You mentioned that 70% of healthcare professionals are overwhelmed with pharma information. Oh my God. Yeah, that means we have to take more informed choices. We have to dare to take choices. And that, for me, clearly is a leadership topic more than anything
So we need another channel, right?
Yes.
I would agree. I think it's all of the above, really. As we've alluded to, that we've never had more data than ever. And big data is not a new thing, right? I think the industry for years has been trying to work out how best to unlock the value of all this data that is collected. We now have the tools and the technology to do that. Do we have the people and the processes in place to employ effective programs? And you mentioned 6 months, Claudia, and I think future-proofing into AI programs, building the risk profile into AI programs is vitally important. If you have a 6-month deployment, will that solution be surpassed by your competitors in a shorter space of time by the point you go live? Are you giving up competitive advantage by being risk averse? Maybe now is the time to take a risk. We're seeing lots of that from the industry at the moment, I think.
Prisoma is also correlated what you said. This is accountability, right? Which we many times miss. So people are afraid to take decisions because maybe they will make a wrong decision, right?
Yeah, it's a surprise for me working in. So I started my career in Procter & Gamble, and I've always found in pharma it's strange because R&D, where the bulk of our work is defined by the mistakes we make. 10,000 molecules to get one molecule to get it to market. It takes 10 years to develop, 2 billion to get one drug to the market. I mean, we are inherent in dealing with failed attempts. That's what we do, to be critical. But when it comes to the commercial side of the organization, when we experiment, we seem to have a very different approach. So this trial and error is actually, it's in our DNA as a sector. So I think that the ingredients are there, the foundations are there. And in our organization, I use that example a lot to say, we don't question the chemist in terms of how many experiments they do. We just want to deal with the outcome. So just let us in CX develop these prototypes, develop these pilots, and have the confidence that we can do that. Because we often find a lot of the early experiments, if they don't work, a lot of leaders just lose trust and faith in there. So I use the examples from R&D to say, well, hang on, if we did that with every molecule we researched, we wouldn't be an organization, right? So just give the teams a chance. We've got incredibly talented people that we're bringing in from other sectors who innovate, who are used to this trial and error. So I think the culture is there, but we just have to extend it to the rest of the organization.
Thank you. Next question. In a world where speed, compliance, and personalization collide, how do leaders decide when to take bold action versus when to steer conservatively?
I can kick over to what Sam was saying earlier. I think we've learnt through trial and error. I think one of the most recent changes we've made is the consideration of scaling at the beginning of the process. I think this has been an Achilles heel of ours. One of our key leaders at the back of the room, Michael Kerr, who I know is known to all of you, he's built our services organization, and he's managed to get us in a position where that conversation around scaling is happening in the design phase, as opposed to we've developed something and then there's a consideration. And that takes a tremendous amount of work in terms of the kind of people that we've got in the organization now to do that. But we are seeing some very good examples at the moment, live examples, whether you look in the context of CRM, segmentation and targeting, content planning. A lot of these things now are happening very, very early on with scaling in mind. So our timelines, to what you were saying, that 6 months by which time things have moved on, are now, at least in theory, based on what we've built, are behind us. We should be in a much faster way. And I think that's been the key for us, the speed to innovate and bring it to the market. So this new approach with scaling at the center has really helped.
Yeah, I would agree, and we've done the same thing. So very much at the beginning, we think about scaling. So when our digital innovation hub, who's kind of promoting all these pilots, we ask the countries who could also benefit from the solution, and only if there's enough interest globally, then this digital innovation hub team will push the project forward. What we also find very helpful is, because you mentioned where to steer conservatively, and in our highly regulated industry, that's always the case when we come to compliance and regulatory, right? And what we find helpful is to involve compliance, legal and regulatory very early on. So they are part of the product teams. And this way, they are moving from being gatekeepers more to business enablers.
The first things I thought of around these bold decisions or acting conservatively and what prompts companies to make bold decisions are normally macroeconomic factors. If we look at Brexit, COVID, trade tariffs, and now also in pipeline development, you've got mRNA, GLP-1 antagonists, of course, and CRISPR. And that's prompting organizations to make bold decisions. Just look at Novo and AstraZeneca, Lilly and Idorsia in recent years. Behaving conservatively opens opportunity for competitors. And I think naturally, as an industry, we are somewhat risk averse, and rightly so. But there is a window of opportunity now. There's a lot happening in the macroeconomic space. as well as in the development space, as well as in the AI space. And I think all of that creates the right conditions for organizations to make bold decisions now.
Definitely. But how to make a, for instance, decision between speed, like you mentioned it, and between knowing that potentially that pilot won't work out?
So as I said, I think it's managing expectations. It's interesting, the approach that you described. So we've really anchored in on the US in our organization. We've realized that actually for our scalable solutions to work, the most significant market, as it currently still is the foundation of a lot of that stuff. So that's actually been a really good test of us. It's harder. Of course, most of our organizations, the US affiliate tends to be bigger. They have to have their own resources. So scaling from the US to the rest of the world has been a topic, but at least it grounds us in a real customer problem to be solved, as opposed to what used to happen, which was in corporate, we would consider what we think is a good idea and then look to pitch it and push it to the markets. This new dynamic is much more of a pull, and we are finding that actually there's a lot of innovation and a lot of ideas are coming directly from our customers in a focused market, and then we can scale it from there. So that's been a key for us.
All right. We still have time for audience questions. So any questions from the audience? I think we definitely had a very interesting conversation so far. Patrick?
Okay, I can speak.
Just wait for the microphone, please.
No? Okay, perfect. So thanks for the interesting discussion. So I agree that we have more data than ever, and that's maybe the reason why we are more confused than ever and has less insights. I'm a little bit puzzled that we say it's the leaders, the top management. Who are these mysterious people? Is it not us in the room who are responsible to take care of making it work? So my question to the panelists is, what do you actually do to help the organization in becoming better, to move things forwards in creating insights, just sticking to data topic? Because I think you are also responsible for making it happen and not some other mysterious people we always talk about.
So live examples. So when was it? Thursday, I'm still recovering. Thursday, I think, I had a meeting with our mysterious senior leaders. So we have our regional management team, our therapeutic area leadership. So these are the key decision makers. And what we've done in the past, what I've done in the past as a CX head is I've presented to them these solutions. And it's been difficult because they don't see the scaling, what's been the impact, what's been the ROI, those sorts of questions. So this last presentation, we changed it. We took a very different approach. And we started, because of the significant work we've done around tagging, and again, Michael and his team in the countries have done a lot of work to make sure now 100% of all of our core content is tagged. So we have an opportunity to learn from these things. So we had we had 2 launches in the US in the space of 6 weeks, unprecedented. And at a click of a button, you can now see in real time what is happening in the field, what our customers are doing. And rather than telling them the story, we just showed them the data. We said, look, now what's the key messages you wanted to deliver and what's actually being delivered? And we just left it there. And you just let the conversation just begin. And that's what we're doing. For our leadership, we're helping them have conversations they weren't having before. Another good example for us was number of slides used out of a CLM or IVA. And I think it was about 75% of our calls use less than 30% off the slide deck. Now, again, because I've been a rep, I can say that's not necessarily a bad thing, because in a 5-minute call in primary care, I don't expect to vomit 15 slides to the customer. But you can now tell which slide is being used, because if you only have one slide, and that's just the opening slide, we have a problem. But if it's the key message slide, it might be okay. So it's letting leaders understand they can do more than they could before. And again, this is now generating a pull, which is a different dynamic to what we had. So that's how we're addressing it. Thank you.
Okay, we also have one more question. Manuel? Okay, please, to the microphone.
Sorry, you got 50 seconds to answer this question.
Exactly.
So just to let you know, the biggest topic on the slider was mindset. So maybe if you can elaborate a little bit more in terms of what exactly about the mindset is holding us back, and what is the target mindset that we're trying to achieve in order to move forward?
I mentioned it earlier. I think there was a fear of the unknown and that's becoming a fear of missing out now. Take it back a year, I don't think the mindset was ready to really fully adopt AI. And that could have been on the ground, field, could have been at the strategic level of those mysterious leaders. Now, I think that disconnect still remains a little bit. The field needs to understand how their KPIs are feeding into the corporate and strategic objectives. Asking people to do things if they don't understand why doesn't work. Building the data at the foundation enables us to achieve the lofty goals that we have with AI programs. Setting a goal of AI-generated coaching programs for teams and individuals isn't going to work if you don't have the quality of data. So actually enabling the field to collect high-quality data, tagging, key messaging, reporting, all of that has to be the foundation. It was the first thing that came up there. And I think we're still missing the point a little bit.
Thank you, Sam. Time is over, so hopefully next year we will have 92% of unsuccessful Gen AI pilots. So, yeah.
Progress.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.